Hello, BookTube. I've got a Monday Megastuff video for you here. Just a quick thing here. Lots and lots going on at Hyde Cottage, both manual labor and surprise ninja deadlines. So not a lot of Megastuff, mainly two things. The first being a NaNoWriMo update. It's, of course, November, National Novel Writing Month, when hundreds of thousands of people all around the world try to write 50,000 words of a novel in the month of November. And I'm doing that too. I wouldn't miss NaNoWriMo for all the mud in Egypt. And this is the first year that I am pantsing, that I am flying blind without an outline, without a plan. And I'm continuing to be surprised at how enjoyable it is. No wonder so many thousands of people pants every NaNoWriMo. That always used to confuse me. But now I'm seeing it. And I'm also seeing, in addition to how much fun it is, because the one thing that you can do with pantsing at NaNoWriMo that you can't do with plotting is surprise yourself. And that's happened a few times now, where I just decide, well, what if in the middle of writing something, just go with it? That's an amazing feeling. I've never had that at NaNoWriMo before. But one of the other things that I'm learning is how valuable a set of skills this is reminding me of, this whole process of pantsing. Because you're not just, unless, I mean, there are pantsers who do this, but I am not just blurting out random words every day. I don't see the virtue in that at all. I don't see any possible virtue in that. And instead, I am trying to stitch together a story. The only catch being that I didn't know the story before I started the stitching. And it's turning out that's emphasizing a lot of important writing skills. I'm needing to take into account what I wrote the day before, what I've written the last few days. I need to make sure that I'm not contradicting any of that stuff, and then I need to inch it all forward. And I'm starting to try to play chess in the dark here, because I don't want to make any improvisational move in my plotting on day whatever that closes off an avenue I might need down the line. Now, I know that later on, probably in the third week of November, that very impulse is going to make it so that I am really reluctant to kill off characters. And I think that might, now that I think about it, explain a lot of the mainstream fantasy writing that I read these days. It could be that these authors don't have any plot in mind. And that's why they're reluctant to do anything, because once you do that, you've done it. We shall see. I'm not going to encounter that anytime soon. I'm still developing my story. But my NaNoWriMo update is entirely positive. I'm the most surprised person at that, but it's entirely positive. This is a wonderful experience, pantsing at NaNoWriMo. So that's your NaNoWriMo update, and then we have some mail. I thought we'd go through some mail and see what we have here. What is this first one? Quite heavy. What is this? Okay, what is this? This is 101 Arabian Tales, How We All Persevered in Peace Corps Libya by Randolph Hobler. Look at that cover. Incredible. Incredible. What a great design. Good Lord. All right, let's see what we have here. As we discussed in July, this provides you with a copy of my just published book, 101 Arabian Tales, How We Persevered in the Peace Corps Libya. It is available on Amazon as a paperback and as a Kindle. So on Amazon, you could get this very nice paperback for. Okay, I don't think I see a price for the paperback, but that's all right. Let's see what we have here. Much advanced praise is already printed in the first page of the book from highly authoritative sources. In the meantime, two unique aspects of the book are worth mentioning. Unlike the 1,000 plus individual Peace Corps memoirs published to date, this is a unique subgenre of memoir, a collective memoir, in which I interviewed 101 of my fellow Libyan Peace Corps volunteers in depth. This provides readers with a breadth and depth not found in other memoirs. Their stories are deftly interwoven into the narrative, if you do say so yourself. Also, unlike those other memoirs where there are at most a few dozen photographs, usually all jammed into the middle of the book, boy oh boy, that's right, that gets very annoying. This book contains 220 carefully curated photographs, all of them placed where they belong in the narrative. Okay, that's a great point. Yeah, look at that. Wow, that took some work to do. That took some work to make that happen in this finished copy. Look at that. Yeah, you've got stuff buried in the text there. So who are these authorities? Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, my. Oh, the book, all right, the author's right. The book comes with page after page of advanced blurbs from all sorts of Peace Corps volunteers, ambassadors. Wow. Okay, and you even have a duotone map there at the beginning. That's fantastic. Boy, oh boy. Okay, so the back is also entirely blurbs. Not sure I would have gone with that. I might have described it at some point or other directly to the reader, but maybe the blurbs serve that purpose. Wow. Okay. All right. Fantastic. 101 Arabian Tales, the Peace Corps in Libya. I'm all for it. So this came out. This is a November release. So you can go and get your copy. That sounds fascinating. I will read this tonight. I'll put it in the front of the line. I'll read it tonight. Nothing better than a well-designed indie book. Nothing better than that. All right, so what have we got here? What is next? What is this? What is this? Okay, this is Anna's Refuge. This is Rackwater Bridge Book 1 by Karen Reed. Looks like this is yet another well-designed indie book. That's kind of amazing. Yeah, I spent the summer learning to self-publish and recently reissued Anna's Refuge in both formats. Paperback and e-book, I assume. A new edition of Learning to Waltz, which you awarded such a heartwarming review for HNS, will be out in a couple of weeks. I have a description on the back here? Yes. No. All right. Okay. The letter that came with the book. This is definitely indie published because the letter that came with the book is just a letter to me from the author. That's fantastic. I love that. But we do have a description on the back. Let's see what we have here. Knowing little of love, Anna Spain arrives for her one and only season. That's with a capital S, the debut season in London. Yearning for romance. It's surely fate when she falls for charming, handsome Gideon Aubrey. But when he spurns her in public after seducing her with lies, she must find a way to support herself and her baby, or abandon the innocent child to the horrors of the workhouse. For Lewis Aubrey, who has grown up in Gideon's malignant shadow, there was never been anyone but Anna Spain. Infuriated by his brother's treatment of the woman he adores, Lewis steps in to shield her. He thinks he might even court her himself, until one day, without a word, she's gone. Can a heartbroken young mother learn to love again? Can her would-be hero endure raising the child of a brother he hates? Oh, so she's gone, but the child remains. Oh. Can one fragile infant bring two splintered souls a second chance in love in rural Rackwater Bridge? Wow. Okay. All right. Fantastic. So do we have, in the midst of all this chattiness, do we have a date for this thing? Anna's Refuge came out in digital form December 3rd. Paperback was scheduled for release this coming Tuesday, but my publisher recently switched printing companies and they've run into some technical issues with no firm resolution date. Okay, so Anna's Refuge. This book is, I guess, available as an ebook, and this printed copy will be available as soon as can be. It sounds really good. So once again, okay, that's two really intriguing sounding indie books in a row, both of which I will read tonight. So let's see. Is this whole mail haul going to be a TBR? Is this going? Am I revamping my night's reading? Let's see. Let's see what this next one is. Okay. All right. Okay, this one is not on tonight's reading, but it's definitely going to be something that I read and review in the coming year. This comes out in April. As a paperback original, a $13 paperback original, this is The Duino Elegies by Rilke, in a new translation by Alfred Korn. Skinny little thing from W.W. Norton, very nice. 10 mystical, radiant poems that bring together the beautiful and the sacred. Rilke's Duino elegies are one of the great literary masterpieces of the 20th century. Settle down there, Seymour. Belgium in 1912, while the poet was a guest at Duino Castle on the Adriatic Sea, written then, I assume is what you mean, and completed in a final bout of feverish inspiration in 1922. The 10 elegies survey the mysteries of consciousness, whether human or animal, earthly or divine. And the translator is the recipient of fellowships from the Guggenheim and the National Endowment for the Arts, and lives in Providence. So that's great. So for the new year, for the spring of the new year, a new translation of the Duino elegies. Great. Fantastic. But also nice that it doesn't crowd out my reading, because I have now 2 indie books to read tonight. Used to be that was a large part of what I did. Once, years and years and years ago, I was the U.S. and worldwide editor for the indie branch of the Historical Novel Review, and that loaded me with books all the time. Oh, okay. This next one is a finished copy of something we've already seen. I believe this is out already. On November 3rd, this came out. This is Delphine Minuit, The Book Collectors, a band of Syrian rebels and the stories that carried them through a war. In a finished copy. The finished copy now has a boatload of blurbs. Book List, Publishers Weekly, Susan Orlean, Library Journal, Kirkus Reviews, just a million blurbs here. That's all that this sheet is just blurbs. But we have also description, yes? We also have a description, yes? Reading is an act of resistance. Daraya is a town outside Damascus, the very spot where the Syrian civil war began. Long a site of peaceful resistance to the Assad regimes, Daraya fell under the siege of 2012. For 4 years, no one entered or left, and aid was blocked. Every single day, bombs fell on this place, a place of homes and families, schools and children, now emptied and broken into bits. And then a group searching for survivors stumbled upon a cache of books in the rubble. In a week, they had 6,000 volumes. In a month, 15,000. A sanctuary was born, a library where people could escape the blockade, a paper fortress to protect their humanity. I love it. And I have the advanced copy of this. I haven't got to it yet, so this is a very good reminder to me to go and do that, because this is out already. In your bookstores. Okay, fantastic. A finished copy of that. And then we have one more thing to do here. I'm losing the light of day because the sun sets at 3 in the afternoon. So let's see what this last one is. And then we'll be done. Okay. All right. Good. We are back on very familiar ground for Steve, World War II history. This is Rock Force. The American paratroopers who took back Corregidor and exacted MacArthur's revenge on Japan, by Kevin Maurer. And Kevin Maurer is an award-winning journalist who has covered military operations for nearly 2 decades. He has been embedded with combat troops many times, including the 82nd Airborne Division during the invasion of Iraq in 2003, and with a Special Forces team in Afghanistan for 10 weeks in 2010. His books include the massively successful No Easy Day, the inside story of the Bin Laden raid, co-written with former Navy SEAL Mark Owen. And this has a billion blurbs on it, just a billion blurbs. The story here is, in early 1945, as the end of World War II remained a hopeful fantasy, the U.S. fought one of the most daring and cinematic battles of the entire war, the reclaiming of Corregidor, a tiny island at the mouth of Manila Bay. The outpost was taken completely by surprise thanks to the thousands of brave paratroopers who rained down on the dangerous landscape, knowing they would be outnumbered by Japanese troops once their boots hit the ground. But for these soldiers and the U.S., Corregidor represented much more than a tiny war-torn island in the Pacific. It symbolized, in the words of General Douglas MacArthur, quote, that priceless, deathless thing, the honor of a nation. That was MacArthur, all right. Yeah, what does that mean? But just as much, the honor of MacArthur himself. Okay, fantastic. So now I'm just cringing to know the date on this. December 1st. Oh, thank God. Thank God. So I don't have to read this tonight, because I had reading plans tonight, in addition to all the stuff that's been added to it now. This is December 1st. It's World War II microhistory. Those of you, a lot of you out there are going to have people that you're going to want to add this to the list for. Maybe you are one yourself, and we're getting close to gift-giving season. I will let you know what I make of this thing. So that is your mail for today. We have Rock Force. very in-depth, embedded, as it were, account of the taking of Corregidor. Then we have The Book Collectors, a new translation of the Duino Elegies, that we'll talk more about that in the new year, and two very professional-looking indie titles. We have Anna's Refuge by Karen Reed, not your usual romance novel, that's for sure, and 101 Arabian Tales, How We All Persevered in Peace Corps Libya. Now they're perfectly well designed. See, this is exactly what I talk about when I talk about how indie books don't need to look, feel, or act like indie books. They can just represent the infinite variety of books themselves. They don't have to look amateur. So those two go on the reading list for tonight. And maybe Rock Force does as well. I might not be able to resist. That's not a question of relief. That's just, it's one of my favorite subjects. So I might just sweep my TBR for tonight and make it a lot of these books. But one way or another, that's your Megastuff video for today before the daylight fades completely. I can't totally complain. Yes, the daylight is starting to fade at 3 in the afternoon, but it has been spring-like warm here in Boston for the last week, with days more of it to go before it even starts to change. And who can complain about that? Not even I can complain about that. So I'm going to wrap this up. But I'll be back. And if I remember, I will try to make a mental note to film earlier tomorrow so that I have sunlight, because I kind of rely on natural light. But I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.